Hello, everybody, and welcome to this pick a card reading. This is for the week of February 2nd of 2020. So we have 222020. Whole lot of two energy, okay? In numerology, that has to do with, I think of the Two of Pentacles in the Tarot. It's this sort of jester figure who is balancing these two bits of its pentacles, which is earth. And I very much have felt the energy of earth matters for this reading this week. I feel like it's a seesaw. The two energy, as I was beginning to say with numerology, has to do with working with the dualistic nature of life on earth, where we kind of quickly want to judge everything and say, that's good and that's bad. That's black and that's white. This is high vibration and this is low vibration. It's in every circle of our life. We have these kind of buckets. And this is the land of our human brain, this ego structure, which wants to keep us safe. That's all it is. It just wants to keep us safe and stable, and that we know what to expect, and we know that we have enough money in the bank, and we know we have a job to show up to every week. And there's just a sense of knowing. But where the ego takes it too far is when it just wants to bucketize everything, when it wants to immediately look at a situation or hear what somebody is saying to you and go, well, that's not right, or that's totally right. There's like no middle ground with this. It's working with duality. And so I feel like this week we could be faced with some situations where that seems to be the case. And the theme that was coming up was actually from one of my crystals. I was tapping in and like, don't we want a Sabian symbol? You guys know I love my Sabian symbols. Nope. Do we want a card? No. We want a crystal. So look at this piece. Isn't it gorgeous? This is one of my favorite colors. This is a piece of Andorra. And this is seafoam Andorra. And as with all my crystals, they're divided up into the different four elemental teams, if you will. And this is from my water team. So that has to do with, first and foremost, our emotions, but also our intuition, our ability to feel into something deeper. Those of you out there who you can walk into a situation and you just have a feeling, or you look at somebody and you just have a feeling, you can, again, you're like weighing it out when you're looking at somebody, or you're walking into something, or something is coming at you, information or some kind of interaction, and you have a response within yourself of wanting, okay, I got to find my stability because this is new for me. And so I need to find, where does it sit? And this piece is known to me as steward, meaning like a steward of, of humanity, really. And when I first held this piece, I felt that it was very much connected to the ocean and tides rolling in and out. And it felt like it was a keeper of the ocean almost. And I want you to think about the ocean as your emotional well-being also, because the ocean ties to that. That's why so many people, especially people who are highly intuitive, highly sensitive, get tremendous benefit from visiting the ocean, because you're tapping into this kind of energy. And it has to do with, as the tides come in and out, and it's a reliable rhythm every single day of every single year. The tides can look a little different depending on, again, where the moon is. And the moon is going through her phases, and that affects the tides. And so the tides are constantly kind of filtering, if you will. And that's what this piece really brought out when I sat with it, is this sense of picking up kind of toxic energies, whether it's incoming in your life or outgoing. That's the reason for the name steward. It really is the part of you that watches those tides and says, you know what? I don't think this is doing any good for me anymore. Or I feel like adopting this little piece of this or this kind of way of doing something or this perspective could be really helpful in moving out some of these toxic ways of thinking that I've developed, beliefs that I've had over the years. And we've all got those. We've all got patterns that we're kind of looking to change. And so the biggest thing of all is for every crystal, I have sort of a list of messages. And the one that particularly wanted to come out for this week was allowing the tides of emotions to be felt. And the phrase, which my grandmother always said, and I am grateful to her for this, which many of our grandmothers perhaps said this to us, this too shall pass. You let the emotion come on up, and guess what? If you look back at your life, whether it's a really positive emotion or it's something that really brings you down, those are those two elements that we're really working with this week. Just understand that it will pass. Even a super high, joyous kind of an energy, that doesn't remain with us. Just look back at your life and you will see that this is true. And so when I was tapping into that about this too shall pass, overall the theme of cycles was coming through. And I just want to point out for the 3 cards that were chosen for this week, I'm showing you the back of the cards here, okay? This is the Fairy Forest deck. This was card number 1. This is about, it's a beautiful tree with this fairy door, magical kind of a land. Again, nature coming forward, the cycles of nature, all right? And then look at these 2 cards, cards 2 and 3. This is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle, and it's a mandala, like a compass, meant to represent cycles and directions. And then here's another mandala, card number 3, that's from the Spirit Animal Oracle. I'm not sure if I have that name right. And here's another mandala, okay? Cycles, cycles, cycles. And I think just the keynote of this week's reading and knowing we're working with the energy of the number 2, okay? I think you just have to know that you're just in a cycle and how helpful and empowering it is to see that we're always in cycles. And very briefly, the way those kind of work, and this ties to numerology, is we start out with a new beginning in something. We're kind of going through a phase of testing out our belief or our system. Again, trying to find stability. The ego wants that. We get to a point where we meet some resistance and we either break through or we break it down. And in that process, we get to a new awareness at the end of the day, once we get through that kind of push and pull. And a lot of times what ends up being the breakthrough is it isn't about the either or, it's the and. It ends up being a blend of something, whether it's your perspective or an answer to something you're looking to solve. Whatever that may be, it's kind of a blend. And we come to this new awareness, and then we start integrating that awareness into other parts of our life beyond that particular situation. This is happening every day, all day, throughout our lives, whether we're aware of it or not. And so that final integration of what you have learned, where a lot of times the coming together of multiple elements brings you to a new level of wisdom that you didn't have access to before. And then you start again. Then there's a new beginning on something else, and it just keeps going round and round and round. I feel that our cards this week represent that. I feel the steward, this energy of the tides, and letting emotions come on up and understanding this too shall pass no matter what the emotion is, and it's almost, I'm feeling the energy of a conductor. You are the conductor of your life, of this beautiful orchestra, and up and down. You are just conducting. You let it come up, and then when it settles back down, you're able to get your perspective, because in those really heightened phases, like when we have a full moon and the tide is just full on, really high tides at the time of the full moon, that's when it's like the culmination. You are really discovering something important here. And then when it dies back down, you have your footing and the ability to see, what did I gain from that? Or what maybe do I need to cut away that is ready to go? And all of this can be very unconscious to you, but think about the empowerment you could feel if you started to bring your awareness to that the emotion coming up, because that's what this is about. It's water, your emotions and your intuition. I'm feeling this about this situation or this person, and really trusting that and trusting the emotions that come up. Allow that tide to rise, because that is natural. It's a part of the cycle. That's that pinnacle I was talking about. We break through to a level of freedom, i.e. wisdom, that we didn't have before. So it's not about tamping down, like I shouldn't be all tied up about this, or I just need to pull it together and I can't fall apart, or I can't be joyous, or you just let that tide come in and out. But then to have perspective that you're in a constant cycle, and to bring your awareness to what is the gift out of this. All right? So it's very soothing, like a tide this week. But to try, I think the caution is, with so much two energy, is to not get in this place of like quick judgment. Bad, good, wrong, right, black, white, Republican, Democrat. It's like, whoa, there's going to be a tendency to go in that direction. And I want more for you than that. That's what my readings are about. Self-empowerment. You are more than juggling two balls. You are a supreme conductor of your life. Okay? So with that, let's get on with the cards. At the beginning of the video, you saw the picture of the cards. You could listen to all three messages, because maybe they're all meant. There's a piece of all of it that's meant for you. So let's see how this plays out. Card number 1 is from the Fairy Forest deck, okay? So very grounded, very nature-based. And remember, nature goes through her own cycles. So this is number 8, the Elven Touch, and it says recovery, comeback, and revival. Boy, and I hear, as I say Elven Touch, I hear Midas touch. Okay, it's the ability, and the 8 energy is that integration point that I talked about. I want you to take the number 8 and turn it on its side. It's the infinity. You understand that the energy that you put out draws energy to you that is like. You take that and you work with it and you tweak it along the way. This is all cycles. And in actuality, with numerology, a cycle is not so much a circle. It's an infinity symbol, because it has to do with feedback from your environment. Almost the environment being a mirror for you, and seeing where emotionally and intuitively, where are you finding like little sparks coming off, either that light you up or kind of trigger you. We all have both of those reactions, but it all gives you information. That's what the environment is great for. So what I feel when I see this card, she's very, very queen-like looking with this beautiful crown on top of her head. I feel like this is a real potential for a reset. and particularly out of what I talked about with the right and the wrong. That, okay, they said this to me, and just pay attention if you're working from past knowledge to immediately decide that's bad or that's good. Notice where your knowledge is coming from. The ego can only work, our human brain can only work from experience. It doesn't have any clue about the future and about possibility and potential. That is the role of intuition. That is the role of inspiration, which, like it or not, that is spirit driven. That is your big self giving you an oomph of, gee, I wonder, what if actually that, because this happened, it then caused me to do this, which then paved my path to be able to do that. And I think the wise use for you of your history, of your experience, let's call it that, is the fact that if you look back, you can see how the dots came together to lead you along your path that brought you to this point. And it's my firm belief that we're always where we need to be. We're always in the perfect spot, and that the universe is conspiring to assist us to grow, to evolve, to become, which is why you come to Earth. That's the bottom line. And we do that best in concert with the other people and situations we encounter in our life. So with words like recovery, comeback, and revival, there's something huge occurring for you, but don't forget the number is 8. You are at the end of a cycle. Cycle is the key word for this week. You are at that integration point of saying, I have new understanding. I want you to think about what cycle have you been working through in your life. Maybe you've been working through going towards a goal or overcoming an issue or starting something new. Think about what that is. And I guarantee you are at a point where you have integrated knowledge at this point. You are not who you were when you began that cycle. Integration is about a core belief, and a set of wisdom is incorporated within you. It is a part of your DNA, your very wiring, and you will never unknow whatever that is. It becomes a part of your operating system. And so whatever this is something hugely empowering that wants your attention this week. It wants you to see that very factor, whatever that knowledge is that you are integrating, like you come to a new point, you realize something about how you work and how you interact with your world. And that very thing is something that gives you this, what I'm hearing is Midas touch, that helps you to move through, to see life as a never-ending set of cycles, like nature, which is implied with this particular deck. Those cycles of nature, of spring being the time of birth, of summer being the outright flourishing. The trees and the leaves and the flowers are out as much as they can. And the fall is the kind of bringing it on in, and the harvest and the sort of withering. And the winter is kind of that death process. It just, everything goes in so that it can be reborn. All the nutrients reset themselves during that winter season. And so whatever that wisdom is that you have gained is going to help you in that natural unfolding process that is never ending. We never stop going through these cycles. But to use that consciously at this point, really think about what cycle do you feel like you've integrated into at this point, that you have new wisdom. That's all that means. There's something. And I can't even name a time frame because that's different for everybody. And honestly, sometimes a cycle can be like in a matter of an hour. You can go through the whole thing. But for some people, it can be years, So it depends. But something has kind of gotten to that culmination point where you're like, oh, I can't unknow that information. It's now a part of me. And use that to illuminate, to be the conductor. It's kind of like the conductor's, whatever it is. I don't know if that's called a cue. I don't remember. But the little wand, the baton, maybe that's it. That it's like that wisdom is the baton. It's what allows you to go like this and to say yes and up. I rise to the emotion that comes, and I know that this too shall pass, and then I get into a more settled place where I have perspective and I can start to see what the best way for me is moving forward. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The second card is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle. And I do not use this deck very often for these readings, so I was thrilled to see it. Okay, we've been talking about cycles, and it is the medicine wheel. So what I love about this deck is I do use the guidebook because it has some very specific kinds of messages. Now, the number on this card is 35. So in numerology, we add those up. So that's 8 energy. And that is what the last card had. 8, we turn it on its side. That's infinity. And when I was talking in the intro about how cycles work in terms of energy integration, which allows us to expand, to grow, to mature, and most of all, expand. That's the biggest word of all, to evolve. As we do that, the 8 energy, when you turn it on the side as an infinity symbol, that is the integration point. You've been through something, and then you get to a point where you have important wisdom that you have earned. For you, I'm getting that word earned. You've earned it, and now it's time. It has become a part of you. You can't unknow that knowledge. You can't separate yourself from it. It helps your whole operating system moving forward. So that's kind of an undercurrent for your reading. So I'm going to read you what this has to say about the medicine wheel. I'm going to hold this up so you can take in the image as I'm reading this, okay? So the essence of this card. The medicine wheel is a sacred hoop with 4 cardinal directions well marked. It represents the cycle of life, the cycles of nature, and the circular pattern of our cosmos. It has been used for millennia in indigenous cultures to bring harmony and well-being to the village. Its directions symbolize the 4 steps the shaman takes to become a person of power and wisdom. So the invitation to manifest clear blue skies in your life. Can I just say how much I love that phrase, given my business is the Blue Sky Shop? It is important that you take a look at certain aspects of your being. Enter the medicine wheel from the south and reflect on how you're still clinging to events from the past. Continue to the west and notice which relationships are toxic and drain your energy. Step into the north and ask yourself, do I know my passion and show it? Enter at the east direction, visualizing how you want to live the next chapter of your life. It is up to you how much time you spend in each direction, minutes, days, or months. But when you are done, make sure to step outside the wheel and contemplate your journey. Now, to me, as I was reading that, I feel that last line, those last few words, is what's most important to take away from this reading for you. It's really important to celebrate, to see the whole picture of what you have just been through. Because there's something with the theme of cycles. There's something tangible for some cycle in your life. And again, it could be a cycle that lasts an hour, or it could be lasts years. Even for some people, these are cycles that last multiple lifetimes. And there is value in taking stock, in stepping back and being able to take in all of those questions. If you didn't get it, I would suggest you rewind the video to when I was reading about the 4 different directions. I really want you to write down those questions again, okay? And take stock, because all of them, I don't even feel it's one of them. This is a whole picture kind of message I'm getting for your reading. You have to take stock of the whole picture. We're not just focused on one direction. It is all of it together. And I think you will see that whatever it is that has profoundly shifted in your life, you are at a culmination point. You have integrated something that has shifted all 4 of those areas that were described in that invitation passage. It's just a good week to take stock. And I almost feel like your energy wants you to move ahead with like, okay, I want to get back to the juggling. In the intro, I talked about the 2 of Pentacles. And I want to get back to weighing out, where should I go? Should I do this? What about that person? How about this relationship? Is this going right? I feel in your energy like you're anxious to like get on with it and be doing this again. But believe me, this is really an exhausting exercise for your energy, for all of us, when we're constantly in this. It's a necessary part of the cycle. It is part of the numerological cycle. But at the end of the day, we have to move beyond the 2 energy and then into trying something, into committing to something, and actually being able to creatively get our hands in the clay and start to shape it, start to put our belief, our passion into it. When we're doing this, we're just like weighing it out all the time. And what do they say? And what does the research say? And I just know because my grandmother told me that's bad. Or this. My mother has always wanted me to do this. I must go do that. It becomes much more personal. I feel as if what I'm being shown is like you're standing back finally and looking at this beautiful, it's like a painted mandala. Okay, a lot like it's a round, it's huge and it's round and it has your own very unique signature on it. And I feel like this is a week to kind of stand back and kind of take it all in and say, oh, it's like an exhale, and to say, who am I as a result of all this? And those questions are important to ask yourself this week, because you're moving on to something else. And I think whenever that something else is coming up in your life, you're not going to spend so much time in the juggling. You're going to want to get right moving on, like as a result of who you have become. Okay? The medicine wheel is all of it put together. Like, look at all the animals represented in this. It is the full picture. And you've gotten there. But I don't know if you've taken the time to take stock and to really ask yourself the questions. Okay. All right. The final card is from what I think is the Spirit Animal Oracle. I don't remember the full true name. I think that's right. And you have the lizard spirit. Okay, lizard spirit. This says dream the world into being. And this is card number 38. In numerology, when we add those two together, that's the number 11. And 11 is the first, and what I feel is the most potent of the master numbers in numerology. 11 has to do with being an inspirational leader and a teacher of sorts. And we can be a teacher just through offering our own example. We don't even have to talk to other people. We simply live our life and we be. That's the way it's wanting to come through. We be, kind of like the Buddha. Through how we choose to respond to situations, little do we realize we are all always watching each other. And I feel like I want to say that to you. Do you know that you're being watched in the best of ways? Do you know that people are taking in a lot of information from you simply by the way you choose to present yourself on a given day, on the energy you bring into the settings where you find yourself needing to go? When you go into meetings for work or you respond to an email, all of that, you're always bringing your energy for everybody to see. And so you don't have to have like a worldwide stage. You don't have to have a best-selling book. You don't have to have a seminar series or a healing center or a huge following on YouTube. You are making an impact simply by being. And people are watching what you're doing. And I want you to feel inspired by that. Because with the number 11, you need to realize that you have an impact. You need to know that people are really learning from you. Again, inspirational teacher, leader, somebody who breaks out of the pack and won't accept the pat answer that they're given, that won't settle for vanilla when there is bubblegum and pistachio with fudge nut swirl in it and moose tracks and all these other flavors that are available, and they decide to smush them all together. It's about you becoming that inspirational leader, really stepping into that simply by being. You don't have to talk at people. You don't have to make a point. You don't have to put up, really eloquent posts in a blog or have a podcast. Or if you want to do those things because you're passionate about it, do it. But I want to point you to the fact it's just about being. Like, really, that's enough. I mean, and I'm just hooked on this 11 energy, so I need to tap in with the lizard for you. And what I get with this guy, it's going to be hard for you to see, but in the card, it's right in the middle of his little body. That for me looks like an eye. And then this little piece of whatever he's on looks like an eye looking out. Okay, so not only, and what wants to come up as I say that is watch your shop. Those of you who have watched me for a long time, you know I say the same thing over and over. I'm sorry, but it is core to my messages. Your being, your life as you. You are the owner. You are the primary shopkeeper of this very unique boutique. It's one of a kind, and you build it. And essentially, it is the essence of you. It is what the experience of you is like. When somebody steps into your energy field, what are they greeted by? Do they feel immediately like you're putting out like vibes that are almost attacking? Or do they feel a sense of welcomeness? What would the music be like as somebody enters your field? What would the smell be like? I want you to like dip into your senses, because again, this reading is very earth based, even though our crystal for the topic was emotional, water based, and intuitive. It's about using that for earth life. So I want you to use your earth senses and question for yourself, what is the music that I play within my energy field? And it's okay if it changes, by the way, but we're looking at a general theme here. Because if you can start to outline these sensory experiences of how you want your shop, i.e., your energy field, the experience of you to be, that is the gift that you give to this world. That's the gift you give. That is the inspirational leader, the teacher, the one who can show others how to break through all the smog. Okay, so the eyes, I'm really being drawn to, and with that, what I mean is being able to see something deeper, but I feel like the message is you can benefit from truly understanding at a deeper level the importance of your energy field and how people listen and experience from that. That's what I'm saying. When you enter a room and you got that music playing, there's that certain smell that is just signature to you. And I'm not talking about perfume. I'm talking about it's a sensory experience because we are earthly beings. And if you think about like what the colors would be, what would the visual be when people experience you as your energy? What would the tactile feeling be? And that's different for everybody. Like some people really like the idea of being in a beautifully crafted wooden chair that it just causes you to have a straight back when you sit down in it, and you feel so attentive. It's like when you go to the library, those are not like cushy chairs. It's like hard wooden chairs that are solid, that just cause you to be like, okay, I'm in my game here. Or is it like a chaise lounge, like an upholstered chaise lounge that has like velvet on it? It's different for everybody, but what is that experience? Because this is what it takes to be masterful in building your shop, in building the experience of you. And when you walk in a room, people feel it. They know it. And there's something within that, your special vibe that people need. Other people need, and all I will say, I don't want to frame it as they need it like they're sucking onto it and like, give me that. And they're just taking a straw and going, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about because you be, I be, that cements it, in essence. It solidifies and strengthens your energy field and therefore your vibration from an energy standpoint. And what that does is it inspires other people to do their version of it because they see it and they feel it most of all. Remember, there's a huge feeling component to this week's message. They feel it. And so they feel inspired to do that themselves. They say, I don't know what she's doing, but I want some of that. But your version, your shop, is not their shop. And so they just, it's something that is unspoken. But they just feel like, you're just bringing yourself fully to the table in your own form. Okay? And it does inspire others to do the same. Again, you don't have to say a word. This is about energy. It's about being an inspirational leader and teacher through energy. I'm strongly getting that. So again, lizard spirit, dream the world into being. That's because dreaming is what I'm talking about. It's getting tangible with your senses. In essence, you're dreaming your shop into being. And people that I've worked with in sessions, what I suggest is either keep a scrapbook of what your shop looks like and keep adding to it. Or another idea is to start a Pinterest or to do it through Instagram or any social media. Just start building. What does my shop look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? What is the experience like when you walk through a store, you cross over that threshold to enter into a shop. Is there a little tinkling bell on the door announcing that someone new has arrived? Is there music in the air? What is the smell? What is it? How does it make you feel? And what do you want to bring to the world? It's you dreaming your world into being. And by you defining that, you do not understand this, and our brain is not meant to understand it. You then unconsciously activate other people to want to do the same, because what happens is when you're invested in your shop, and it's not to say that it won't change over time, because we are talking about cycles this week too. So we do go through cycles, and maybe, just maybe, this just came in, maybe you are shifting your shop right now. Maybe you totally know what I'm talking about, and awesome, and you've had a shop for a really long time, and you feel like, okay, it's time for an overhaul. I don't have vanilla smell in the air anymore. It's on to patchouli. And maybe everything is magenta in color. Maybe, who knows, what your change is, but maybe it's time for a shift in your shop. And that is perfectly fine, because also that activates other people to make shifts in their shop too. The key is that people see the consistent, and it's not even, I want to say see because the eyeballs keep drawing my attention. It is see, but it's more like feel, because it's deeper than the surface level. It's feel. They feel the consistency of the experience of you. And that's what causes them to say, I want that for my life. But I know that is not me. That is the way he does that. And I wonder what mine is. And this might even come up in your conversations. Like, people will be like, how is it that you can just roll through your day and just be so good with everything? There's so much going on. And you're just like, my view on this is whatever. You're kind of putting your belief out there, and you say, but that's just how I roll. That's how I am. It's how I be. Okay? Wow. All right. I love these messages for all of us this week. I love it. Love it. Love it. So with that, there we go. Cycles. We're in them. Always in them. So make the most of them. Be empowered by them. Be the orchestra conductor of them, and know that the heightened emotion, you let it rise, and this too shall pass, and then you come into a new perspective, and there's new wisdom to be gained that will always be a part of you, and it's valuable. Okay, with that, I will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.